you need a real estate, need a real estate agent in Central PA.
Yeah.
That, it's about a minute video, and I created a retargeting campaign on YouTube for everybody that I could, pull that had been Google tagged for that very reason. And funnily enough, I've run YouTube ads for a bunch, and my oldest son's buddies will tell him all the time, dude, your dad follows me around on YouTube.
I get the same thing. Yep.
Yeah.
So the video Josh is talking about, we did it a few weeks ago. I'll share this with everybody who's watching live. It's in our playlist here. And let me go ahead and introduce Josh. You were probably on about a year or two ago, last time you were on one of these. Josh and I go way back. Josh is a real estate agent in Central Pennsylvania. We were formerly business partners. But the reason I wanted Josh on today is you probably do more email marketing than any real estate licensee that I know. Is that a fair thing to say?
I'll take that as the compliment that it is.
Yeah, you probably do, because you're not only, you do lots of crazy stuff, and you've been at it since I've known you for about a decade. You've been emailing every day for a decade.
Well, so yes, but two different things. So I have my personal production business, and then I have my coaching, training, organizational building. That list I email virtually every day. For my personal production business, I send an email every Friday, and I'm not suggesting that that's the best day to do it. It's just the day that works for my schedule. Almost every one of my leads, well, actually, I'm sure that you'll be able to make a liar out of me, but we try to get as many of our leads on search alerts as possible, so they're getting emails. Right. And every email has our super signature. So, it just let's
take a look.
A variety of different unique calls to action or value propositions. And then every Tuesday I do something called Texting Tuesday. So I'll broadcast text and or email particular segments that I'm trying to re-engage.
Okay. So there's a lot going on there, and you're doing a lot of the stuff that we talk about all the time. I'm trying to get back into your account here to show everybody. So the first thing you mentioned is the alerts. That's a good way to email consistently. It happens automatically, and you email real estate information with property alerts. And
100%, absolutely. That is the floor, right? Like, that's the bare minimum everybody should be doing, in my opinion. Is everybody's on some kind of alert,
right? And I talk about this all the time too, but I'm sure you're doing similar thing to me. Like, even if somebody's in your sphere, they're a past client, you're setting them up with something.
Yeah. Yep. Until they tell me not to or whatever. So I will say, in a lot of those cases, I'll set them up on the market report. I won't necessarily set them up on a search alert. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should set them up for their specific neighborhood.
Yeah.
I didn't even really think of that, but they get the market report. And I think I do that. I have them set up for 14 days. It's either 14 or 28. I can't remember.
Right. Now put your name with real estate info in front of people on a regular basis.
Right. But that's also, so in my case, they're also getting my Friday email. So they're at a minimum getting 5 emails per month from me, a market report. Because now that I think about it, it's definitely the 28 day. They get the market report, and they get an email every week on Friday.
Okay. And that Friday email, I'm having trouble getting into the account. That Friday email, I assume it's something unique. Do you have a template or a formula you follow for that?
I do. And in fact, I've got a Google Doc that I can share with everybody that just has, the doc has what I would call like the different content buckets.
Okay.
That you can pull content from, ideas from, and I'm sure there's more, there's more than what's in there. And then I've got a number of examples, but I'll just give like the framework of what it is. The top of it is always a bomb video, core video, usually 60 to 90 seconds in length. And I use the Make It Big app. I don't know if people can see my screen, but or see my my webcam, but I use the Make It Big app.
Oh, that's what that
phone.
is.
Yeah, it's called Make It Big.
Okay.
It's a free app, and you know, I'll put something, you know, like so. This Friday, I'll have something that says like Happy Fall, right? Or you know, Happy First Day of Fall. Although technically Friday is the third day of fall or whatever. I'll put that at the top. So you know, just say, you know, good morning, Ryan. It'll be a video from me. Then I will usually have, if I've got a new listing or a coming soon listing or something like that, I usually will have a section of off-market properties. So if I know, like, I know I have a property, or, you know, it's basically owners that I know would sell, but they're not ready to list, and we're not even coming soon yet. But I just kind of keep that in there as, you know, other reasons why buyers might reach out. I do a snapshot of my market update. So I just snap like the last 7 days of activity. And then I'll usually have something else in there, like,
Do you use a template?
it could be, okay, so
when you send it, you go into KV Core and you send it to
okay, so don't kill me. I don't actually send those in KV Core.
Okay,
I did for a while, and I stopped doing it. And then I don't even know why I haven't come back to it. There's no reason why I couldn't, shouldn't, won't, or don't. And in fact, because I'm saying this Friday, I'll probably send it through there just as just to see. And honestly, I think I moved away from it before a lot of the functionality that's now in there with like tracking and stuff. It was that long ago, and I just never went back to sending through there.
So Tony's asking, what does the Make It Big app do? It puts big text letters in the video, right?
Right. So is my webcam?
Yeah, your webcam is live. You're on camera.
Okay. So yeah, all it does here is this is just something I had earlier for a live I did. So that's all it does.
Okay.
Right. So Friday it'll say, you know, happy first week of fall or something, or something along those lines, you know, like I did Happy Labor Day, or, you know, Happy Mother's Day on Mother's Day weekend, things like that. It's just attention grabbing. But if you're sending a one-to-one, like if I was sending Ryan a video, I would send Ryan, I would have this, and if you shake it up, it would be flashing, and Ryan's name is on the video. Is there any chance Ryan's not watching that video?
Yeah.
Like zero.
I know.
Zero chance.
I don't know if you saw me comment, but I said it was the best pattern interrupt ever. You had some post on Facebook or LinkedIn, and it just made me stop scrolling.
Yeah.
That Make It Big app. So it's really cool for ads.
What I used to use is this, just a mini whiteboard. But the Make It Big app, because you can make it flash and stuff, it's more of a pattern interrupt. The only problem with that is you got to be recording on your laptop. You know, if you want to try and record a video on your phone, then you might need some other device.
So would I be able to see that in your library? I just like to show people if we can. Do you think you have one of those in your library here in Core Video? Yeah, you do.
Oh, tons of them.
Yeah, you probably didn't know you. Can I just show that?
Oh, I don't care.
Okay.
So you might see somewhere, that might be thank you or whatever. You may have to scroll.
Yeah.
Right. Well, when they're not personal, so I do have video content that isn't one-to-one, and so I'll still put something on the screen like thank you, or here we go, or let's chat, or whatever. But if I'm sending a personal video, especially if it's the first time I've ever sent you a personal video, I will always put the name on there. Just so you know, like when I send you future ones, like it's an actual personal video from me. There you go.
I thought I was sharing this all the time, but yeah, how could you not open that? Right.
I mean, it's the only way she's not opening that is if it's not anywhere in her inbox, it's just.
I'm glad I didn't even think of this, because we did a lot on this BombBomb integration yesterday. So I'm glad to see live examples of this here. And you're doing that in pretty much every video.
Yep.
You're not spending a lot of time. And I think that's what people worry about with the videos. You've done this many times, but what are you spending every day? You spending 20 minutes doing these? Can't be.
At most.
Yeah.
At most, because they're short, right? Like, I try to keep them 60 seconds or less. My weekly ones sometimes go to 90 seconds, but they're very rare. The only longer ones I do, and I've heard, the Bomb folks talk about this. The only longer ones I do is if it's a screen share video and I'm walking them through like contract docs or a more like a mini CMA or something like that, that it warrants or merits a little bit longer content. But if it's just me following up, it's short and sweet.
Cool. Is this for a current listing you have, the 402 deal, or is that somebody you were going after?
Okay, so that was, what was that? I think that was a video update to people that had expressed interest in that property, letting them know, like thanking them for their interest and letting them know either that we had accepted an offer or of an offer deadline, something like that. So that was a video that went to multiple people, but they had expressed interest about that property.
Great. So you're using the heck out of this thing. You even sent me one and I was like, wow, he's actually using it.
I think video and personal video messages is the best leverage point you can possibly have in your business right now. And like you said, I mean, once you get used to doing them, I almost never do a second take. Every once in a while, I'll totally botch my words or my brain just, stops. But I rarely do a second take. And if you think about it, like here's a great case for it. Let's say anywhere from the numbers vary depending on the publication, but anywhere from, let's say 68% I've heard on the low end to 80% of people do business with the first real estate agent they meet. Well, this is the next best thing or next closest thing for them getting to meet you than in person. And so if you're the first one that does this, unless you screw it up, like they're pretty much going to do business with you.
Yeah, especially if you come at things with you don't talk about yourself, I assume, just like when you write emails. You want to talk a little bit about just fundamental kind of copywriting, making it more about them and the benefit you're going to provide and everything. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I've heard you, when you talk through copy as you create ads, you're running through a lot of the same things that go through my head. I don't want it to be I, me. It's you, it's us. And even when it would be I turn it to we. Right. Because it just feels different. So for example, every one of my Friday emails, I put at the very bottom, if there's anything at all we can do for you, real estate related or not, please just let us know. Right. But it's not even, I don't even say I there, I say we there. And it's because I have a team, right? So I can legitimize the fact that it's we, but that just feels different when you read it than when it's, if you just replace the word we with I in that sentence it just feels different. Another thing that, and this is something that goes way back for you and I, we've had discussions many times. Do you get people's first name or not? Like what's the big deal? And I would say, as crazy as it is, and as much as people realize it's a trick, I use first name in subject lines as often, like very, very frequently. Because even if they know you're, tricking them or whatever, like it's still hard to resist opening an email that says Ryan's Central PA market update for Friday, September, whatever this Friday is, 24th, 2021. Like that's just, it's hard to resist that. So, incorporating the person's name when you have that information, and short and sweet, that still works. Like people do not want to read a book.
Yeah, everybody's in a
they
rush.
don't want,
And they care about themselves more than they care about you.
100%, and rightfully so, right? Like, what do you have to offer me? And so I don't like, a paragraph for me in an email is literally 2 short sentences.
Yeah.
You know, like, otherwise I break it up so that it's easier to read and flows different. But if you've got, and anybody listening here, I guarantee if you open an email and there's a big chunk of text, you're immediately like, ugh, like it's like, I don't have time for this.
If you want
really,
somebody
this
to not
person's making me
respond,
work.
if you want them to not
Right.
respond, do that. Because whenever I get an email like that, I might star it because I know I have to reply if like something professional. But I'll definitely skip that, go through all the rest of my email, and maybe I'll get back to it then, or maybe like in a day or two.
Yep.
Because I got to spend 10 seconds reading. Who wants to do that?
Yep.
So,
hey, Jeff here asked if I'm doing this through Core Video or BombBomb Direct. So I have Core Video, and I would highly recommend it, because one of the things that we didn't even show as an example, I do a lot of my smart campaigns also have video, text video, and text email.
Yeah.
So that, I'm creating that know, like, and trust in mass on smart campaigns.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. Well,
I want to corner you on
of,
these campaigns because I've never logged into I just logged into your account 10 minutes before the session. I've never logged into a KV Core account where somebody is pretty much, you've got a campaign for every lead source. Is that what I'm looking at here?
We try to.
Yeah.
I mean, because the more you can make the campaign congruent to how they ended up in your KV Core, the higher the likelihood that they're going to open your communications and they're going to engage with you, that they're going to get into a conversation with you.
Yeah. Is there a campaign here where that maybe has a video mixed in with some text, maybe the Z-Buyer one or something that you don't mind sharing? Letting people see.
Well, the Sell and Stay I don't think has video, but it's got ringless voicemail, because that's a big one. I've got the ringless voicemail add-on as well, and use that in a lot of our campaigns.
Oh, you're sending a note card. Oh man, you're making me so happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think of what campaign would have the video native.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I'll give you a great example. This doesn't happen every time, but let's say you use a property boost. You got to have a smart campaign with every property boost with 3 things: a ringless voicemail, which is very simple. Hey, it's Josh with EXP. Thanks for your interest in 123 Main Street. I've emailed you more info, including photos, etc. If you'd like to schedule a private tour or have questions, feel free to call, text, or email me back. That's it. You send a video with a similar message. You text a video, hey, thanks for your interest in the property. I've emailed you that information. If you have questions or would like a private tour, just let me know. And then the email can also have a video that's slightly different. Below is the information you requested, blah, blah, blah. And so they hear your voice, they see your face, and they've gotten the information. You've actually made good on what you said you would do, which is give them more information about 123 Main Street. And so we do that with every single listing we have. We have lead gen campaigns, and that's the smart campaign that we run on the backup, is ringless voicemail, text message, and email, and a search alert based upon that property.
Yeah. So I'm sure people are listening and are saying, whoa, that sounds like a lot of work. And I'm sure when you first started doing this, there was a learning curve, right? But over time,
oh yeah,
to spin up one of these, you're probably looking at 10 minutes. You do the email and the text. You might even have an admin.
When you have processes in place and your templates and scripts in place, yeah, the first time doing it, it's always going to be, the learning curve is going to be the greatest always the first time. But once you know what you're doing and you have a system and a process for it, like that we knock out in no time flat now. Like it just, yes, it's still work, but again, what's it worth to you to generate 50, 100 leads on a listing, that you are building, building your brand and know, like, and trust with them for their future transaction, whenever that might be, right? So to me,
Makes
it's a
sense.
no-brainer.
Do you use an assistant to set some of this up, or are you usually wiring it up?
Yeah, my main man Mike, he does a lot of it. So we have,
But it's a system. He has documentation. You get a listing. He follows.
he has documentation that we follow. I get him the video content. I get him the ringless voicemails, etc. I will say, for the ringless voicemail, and it might just be my laptop, recording them on my laptop never turns out quite right. They always sound funky. So I recorded a voice memo. I text him the voice memo. He uploads it, or I email him the voice memo. He uploads it, and
Can you record
ready
that
to
from your
roll.
phone, Josh? Have you ever tried that through the app? You might be able to.
Oh,
Yeah, just check that out.
I haven't. I usually do a voice memo.
Yeah, I could be wrong. You might be able to record it straight from the app. And you might be able to, I'm pretty sure you can do your videos there too, if you're not already doing that.
Well, yeah. So that I definitely do. Not always, but I do. If I'm out, that's a beautiful thing. If I'm out and about, and something comes in through KV Core where I can just send a video response. If you get nothing else out of this session, if you start to create the habit of responding with video to every text or every email response that you get from a potential client, I'm telling you, you will be amazed at the amount of positive feedback and the increase in your ability to convert those and not be losing clients that you don't even realize you're losing.
Yeah.
I have had so many closings where people, just completely gushed over, like, that being the main reason why they decided to work with me. Just that I was sending them video updates and I responded with video. And I can tell you that I had many closings from March through November of last year, where I never met them in person, or I met them in person for the first time at settlement. And that would be virtually impossible without using personal video, and Zoom too, but personal videos was a huge factor.
They were sold on the idea of working with you because of the videos you sent in the first place.
100%, because they felt like they knew who I was, right? Like, and they could tell that, that I was genuine and authentic, and because I don't do any, I don't do any hard selling, or I'm a pretty chill, laid back guy, and that doesn't work for everybody, but the ones that it does work for, it works, and it creates an easy connection.
Yeah. Jeff's asking what you use for voicemail. You're using the Core voicemail add-on, right?
Well, yeah.
So that's in Marketplace, Jeff. There's an expense to all this stuff, but I guess, Josh, your bill for the Core video and the voicemail is probably 1/10 of one closing for the year, right? Like what's?
Well, yeah. So I was just trying to think of that. Like, what would it be?
You're probably spending 50 or 60 bucks a month total, I imagine.
Yeah, let's say it's 100. It's still 1,200 for a year, and how many extra closings? I don't know, but I just look at it as a cost of doing business, and So that's the difference. If it's not just, so it's a time saver, but the other great thing about that is the consumer can choose when they consume that, right? You're making it easy for them to consume what you're sending them on their time. So you're making it more convenient for them to connect with you, versus like forcing them to meet you in person to build that connection.
Yeah, coffee shop, because that's what a lot of people are still doing. Hey, can we meet for coffee? Can you meet at the office? They got to get the husband and wife together at the same time. They got to reschedule, and you've cut through all that with a 2-minute video. But
yeah, and some people would prefer that, and that's fine. But it's them choosing it, not me choosing it.
Yeah,
right. I always I say this often in in coaching, like your funnel or your pipeline should make it as easy for people to connect with you and take the next step as possible. You want to create like a choose your own adventure path that makes it as easy for them to take the next step. So, if they would prefer to converse by email, then make it easy for them to do that. If they would prefer text, make it easy for them to do that, but allow them to choose the channel that it happens, and not forcing one channel. I've done tons of transactions where all of the communication happened by email until we met at the property that we wrote the contract on. And I've had many transactions that all of the communication happened on Facebook Messenger until we actually met at the property, either for the first time or again, the one that we ended up writing on. So, we are no longer in a world where we can force people to communicate on the channel that we want. Our job is to make it as easy as possible for them to communicate on the channel that they choose. But also use video and technology and so forth to create a deeper connection on those channels and make it easier for them to do that. And it's easier for you too. I mean,
I have personal frustrations that I voice internally here at Inside Real Estate about some of the interface with the smart campaigns. So we're working on those, and they're slated to be fixed. Just the kind of ease of setting this stuff up. But the one thing that the smart campaigns do really well, I think you agree, is they give you that multi-channel. You can do pretty much anything you want to do from a follow perspective across any channel.
I would say, and I don't know every solution out there, but of anything I've seen, without question, that piece is the best. I mean, it just is. Email, text, ringless voicemail, direct mail, making notes to yourself, including videos, like all of that. It's
and you're zapping,
I would say
you can't do natively. You're zapping out like you're sending the thanks to note cards. You're zapping out. You have to do it.
100%.
So you're emailing. So it's that sending something cool. Isn't that a Frank Kern thing? Like send cool shit.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
I say send something cool is a phase in our conversion flow here. You've got all the automation going, and then once a week, try to send something cool. You're doing that every Friday, basically.
That's mine. And I'm not saying that that's the best day. In fact, it probably isn't. It's just what works for my schedule.
Yep.
And it's the pattern that I've created. Like it's the habit I've created. It works for me. And I'm just, I've been rolling with it.
Do you use the scheduling, or do you just send it the blast? Do you know about the scheduled emails?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it because whenever I show that example, I love Saturday morning at 10. That's a personal thing for me, just for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But then you end up working Saturday because people reply.
Right.
Cool.
I think the best statistics say, I think the best day is Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
But the reality is the best day is the day that you do it versus the day that you don't. Like doing it a day of the week is better than not doing it on the perfect day of the week.
Yeah. So some takeaways so far, guys. Obviously, you can see here, hashtag is, each of these is a new hook or lead magnet. You try lots of things. I'm sure not all of these things have worked, right?
Well, here's the dumb thing. Yeah, there's also plenty of things in there that do work well, and then I just abandoned for no good reason. So yes, I do a lot of stuff. I try a lot of different things. Some of them work great. Some of them, here, I had this conversation on my huddle yesterday, is that, the beautiful thing about real estate is our commission checks are big, right? Like, the difficult thing to overcome mentally is the cash to conversion cycle. Because when you look at, a week, a month, even 3 months, you think something's not working. But then when you look over 12 months, so for example, at the end of 2020, and it was probably actually January 2021, I went back and looked at all the transactions from 2020. And for those of you who don't know, like I had been inactive for 8 or 10 years and reactivated my license and I started actively working with clients in 2020, and I went from 0 to 30. And when I looked at the
0 to
30 and I
30,
broke
sorry,
down the source.
0 to 30 transactions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did 30 transactions in 2020. Closed the 30th on December 31st. And when I went back and looked, I had done, it was either 6 or 7 transactions from one campaign that I had run from like, I don't know, 4 or 6 weeks back in March or April. And I abandoned it thinking, I don't know, this is working, whatever. It was like I had spent like, let's say $750, and it turned into, let's say 6 times 5, $30,000 in GCI. Like, the ROI on that is dumb. Even your crypto stuff can't compare with that.
You're right, it can't, especially now. So yeah. What's nice is you were able to go back and track that, mostly because it was just all sitting there hashtag in KV Core, I assume.
100%. Yeah. So I could pull their name and look them up and say, okay, what campaign did they originally come through on? Like, what was the originating, campaign? And then you can make better decisions, right? When you can go and look at that as to where you need to double down, and where you need to cut your losses. Because, some campaigns and some sources are better than others, right? They can all work if you have a long-term view, or most of them anyway. If you have a long-term approach and a long-term view, but some are better. Some have a shorter cash to conversion cycle than others, right? But without that information, you're flying blind, right? You're just guessing. And even being bad at it, because the commissions are so big, you can still be bad at it and still end up, on the right side more often than not.
Is this pipeline fairly up to
just
date?
So you know,
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So I'm no. Well, I don't know.
Are you moving? Do you move things? So here's one thing.
No,
You don't.
I
move
do a
things
terrible job of doing that.
Yeah.
I do a terrible job of that.
Yeah.
That's definitely a huge opportunity for improvement.
Yeah, you're not alone. A lot of people, and in business analytics is kind of people kind of forget that's there. But if you can stay on top of it, you really glean some great stuff out of here in terms of your leads.
Definitely.
But like you said, the manual works fine. You go back, you look at your 30 closings for the year, and just figure out where they came from.
Yeah.
It takes an hour or two, right? Just to do that.
Yeah, that really did. I mean, it was not much time at all.
Yeah. Cool. Does anybody have any questions for Josh? I just want to have him on. He's clearly a KV Core power user. You're emailing frequently and staying in touch with people. Videos kind of a major lever. The timing is great on this, Josh. Yesterday we did a whole thing on video.
Yeah.
Ed's asking where you had the most success marketing. I assume it's Facebook ads, but I'm just wondering.
Yeah. So I will say that, obviously 2020 was odd. We had COVID, and then when things opened up, and I'm in PA, which is a state where we were, I can't remember if it was 90 or 120 days were like complete lockdown, right? And then when we opened back up, that just took a seller's market and threw gasoline on it. So the first half of 2020, I was very heavy on buyer side, because I was also, I was just getting back into production, and I very strategically wanted to do everything possible to create momentum. And listings create more leverage, but you can get a buyer under contract in many cases faster than you can get a listing cold anyway. So the first half, and maybe even the first 3 quarters of 2020, was a lot of buyer side. And as far as, see, what's that?
Like what kind of hooks? What were they opting in for search lists, open houses?
Yeah. So a big one was we had built out a campaign around what we called our dream home buyer program, which was kind of what I would, I guess, call a general sort of catch-all type of offering for basically people that are currently renting, right? So it wasn't move-up buyers, wasn't ever whatever. It was more for first-time buyers. that said, I also, I did a number of transactions from offering a free weekly list of recently price reduced lots and land, free weekly list of homes with land, free weekly list of new construction properties, right? So that kind of stuff works,
Yeah.
yeah, that all works. Different ones work differently depending on your market and what's, what type of density you have population wise, but you can figure out stuff that works there. But it was definitely Facebook from cold, non-sphere of influence. It was definitely Facebook was number one, and actually YouTube was number two in 2020. And so far in 2021, I would say Facebook number one. Google local services ads is catching up. That's a whole different topic for another day, but that's definitely a good one and a great one for more bottom of the funnel. Calls that are ready to do something sooner than later. And I'm trying to think of the other one. The other big one is I use a platform called PropStream to do more proactive prospecting, but with leverage.
For sellers.
Not right, for sellers. Yeah, 100%.
So I'm going to get back to that in just a second. On my screen here, I kind of circled this. I just love this. And I totally forgot about this technique. Everybody see what Josh is doing? You're texting in 2 minutes and then you're texting again at 23 with like oh, I forgot to ask kind of thing.
Yep.
So conversation.
And the response to that is phenomenal. Like that, that gets, even though I think the first one, I also ask a question.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, some people respond to the first one, but more people respond to the second one than the first one, for sure.
I bet you on the first one, they're like, oh, that was automated, or like, I'm blowing this guy off. Then they almost feel rude if they don't answer the second one.
100%. And I should also, like, these are little things, but I should not capitalize A and not capitalize T. I should make it look more just like, natural text messaging. Nobody who capitalizes, right? Like, I mean, I guess I do, and I guess I mean, I guess the iPhone naturally capitalizes the first word, but whatever. Getting into the weeds there, but yeah, that's a great technique. And definitely works. And it doesn't have to be quite that spread out. Like, it could literally just be 3 minutes apart. But just that it feels, you don't ever want to do that and have it be one right after the other, because then it's like clearly not natural.
And just knowing the underpinnings of the code here, if you put them too close, there is risk that one goes before the other, because they kind of batch up in on the server.
Right.
So putting that space is good. Yeah, really cool. So you were talking about, so somebody had asked about what you're doing to get seller leads. Please tell me that you're getting listings from the buyers you're working with first, because I always have to bring that up. Are you?
Oh, yeah, no question. Yeah.
And then,
I mean, you've got it. That's got to be part of. So no matter what, unless the buyer campaign is specifically talking to people that don't own a home right now, like, hey, are you sick of renting and ready to buy a house? Unless that's the case, the smart campaign will always have in there, oh, by the way, when you find your dream home, do you also have a home you'd need to sell first, or do you have a home you'd need to sell first? Right. So that's a 100%. And 50, 60, 70%, depending on the type of offer you're making, they're going to have a home. They may not have to sell it or want to sell it, right? Maybe they keep it as a rental, who knows? But they already own a home. I mean, if you just look at the national statistics, like it's just math. But as far as directly seller lead generating, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I use a platform called Street Text, and I integrate. I use Zapier, and we send the leads from Street Text, really from Facebook. Street Text helps us create Facebook campaigns, and we sync all of that up with KV Core. and that's working like gangbusters.
You're
And for
totally allowed
anybody
to
that
do that.
wants,
You're totally allowed to do that. And I've
yeah,
heard nothing but good stuff about those guys. So anything that's
they're great, and they're good people. Like, they're good people with good intentions. And I've, for anybody who wants, I have a ton of resources on the topics that we've shared here today, and I'm an open book on any of that. So, and I'm easy to find on social, and email and so forth. So anybody on here, if you want to reach out, I'm happy to share anything that I'm doing. And I've got a bunch of resources specifically for street text because I'm using it, and a bunch of people in my organization are using it to drive business. And I'll give an example just to illustrate the point that we kind of talked about, the incredible ROI potential. One of my guys, from $400 ad spend in a campaign, has 36,000 in GCI in a 6-week period. So he's going to get even more from those leads because he's relentless. And we know that, especially on the seller side, it's 6 to 9 months before the majority of people, 6 to 12 months before the majority of people that kind of raise their hand and express interest get serious.
Yeah, very important, guys, because we deal with this all the time. Like, it's 6 to 9 months. I mean, 6 to 12 months, your money's out there for a while before you get a return.
Yeah. But the trick is you've got to have systems and processes in place to make sure that the 1% that are ready now, you don't lose those, because that funds the future, right? Like, that's the way I look at it. How quickly can I play with house money? How quickly can I get one transaction that I can then I'm playing with house money for the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? I mean, that makes it easier to play the long game.
I've never looked at that 1% because I use that number a lot too, of the people ready to hop in your car right now. That's your self-liquidating offer in marketing parlance.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I've never looked at it that way.
That's the way I look at it. And in most cases, if you're doing it right, even if it's 0.5%, you're still going to be okay. But you just got to make sure that half or that 1 or 2 don't go with somebody else, because you didn't use video, you didn't use ringless voicemail, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, you didn't set them up on search alerts, right? Like, you put all of these checks and balances in place to make sure that they don't slip through the cracks, that they do transact with you.
So the 30 deals you did, because Tony's asking, I assume most of them were from buyer side ads, probably for the first few months. You probably had some referrals because you know people in your market, but you weren't selling before that.
Right.
And then
it was, you know what, I wish I had brought the breakdown sheet, but I want to say maybe 7 came from sphere of influence and referral over the whole year, and the other 23 were cold, and the vast majority were some variety of buyer side Facebook ads.
And you're pretty, I mean, you're very consistent, guys. This is Josh. Just watch what he does. Like, follow him on Facebook. Josh is a good example of what happens when you create content daily and you do something daily. Would you say that's part of the system?
The beautiful thing about this business is when you put systems in place and you consistently build your database, you're building a compounding asset, right? Like, it compounds over time, because if you generate 100 leads this month and 1% are ready now, and another 10% are going to transact sometime in the next 18 months, and you keep doing that every month, that means 18 months from now, you've got this huge compounding thing that's just going to start pumping out, as long as they're still getting search alerts, they're getting weekly emails, you're doing retargeting campaigns. Like, you've got these things and assets in place. So I mentioned earlier on that I created a YouTube ad today that was a retargeting ad with Ryan's script, or thereabouts. It was inspired by Ryan, let's say. I can I set that up today. That can run pretty much forever, right? Until I really look wildly different and feel uncomfortable at the fact that when they meet me in person, they're like, I didn't know you were all silver now. But that, like, it's the audience updates, right? As more people get tagged, and the offer is universal, right? If you're looking for a great agent, here's how we can help you. These are some unique programs we offer. Let's chat.
Yeah. We haven't even gotten to how you integrate your lender. I saw you interviewing your lender on a webinar recently, right? You've got your lender.
Yeah, it was last week. Yep.
So,
and my mate, and actually just partnered with Shane and Bond Street.
yeah, good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team game, right? Like, this is pivoting a little bit, but if you don't have a great lending partner, like, you're making this business exponentially harder than it needs to be. And you've got to find a good one.
And you need somebody. I mean, there's plenty of guys who are great technicians at closing loans, but it's hard to find somebody who's really good at that and understands everything else that we're doing here.
And if you have big goals, have an infrastructure that can handle that. Because the first guy that I worked with, he was great. I very quickly outgrew him. He's a one-man shop, and he's got some people to help at this and that, but the reality is, he can't handle the opportunity that we are generating. So we had to go and find better options, and Bond Street is one of them. I mean, they've got infrastructure to scale, and
they're going to follow up. And one of the main benefits is they're going to follow on the leads with you, alongside you. That's
totally. And for whatever reason, there are some people that are way more receptive to a conversation with a mortgage pro than a realtor.
Yeah. Which is great.
And vice versa. I mean, it goes both ways, right? But it goes both ways too.
Yeah. So Josh, we're about 45 minutes in. Thank you so much. And we probably need to do this more. Mark's saying fireside.
Listen, I'm happy to. Fireside?
Is it fireside chat? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I guess kind of. Yeah. It's you and I live in the good old days.
Yeah, Mark knows us for a while. So let's answer
Tony's question. It is Mark. I didn't even realize who it was. Mark States. Yeah, what's up, buddy?
So Tony Flores asking, how do you use PropStream? I know you have videos out there.
Yeah, so Tony, if you find my my YouTube channel, Josh Schoenly Coaching, there's a whole playlist on there. But PropStream is a data provider that you can pull. So like one great way that I use PropStream is for to identify absentee owners that have owned the property for a long time and are out of state and or out of county. But there are loads of great ways to use PropStream. I don't think you'll see those in there. So I leads only make it into KV Core if they are opted in. For me, this is for me. If they are opted in, or they've responded to a marketing campaign and I have their information to add in. So I don't use KV Core for any cold outreach. And that is, we protect that for a number of reasons.
Yeah, you consider those PropStream, those are your traffic sources. They're almost like a Facebook, where you're getting
100%. Yeah.
And then
it's another channel.
Yep.
So, Street Text is what I'm using for Facebook and Instagram, and it's just because they make it so stinking easy to launch campaigns versus having to fart around with Facebook's ad manager platform.
Do they actually have a platform inside of Street Text?
Street Text, that's all it is. Like, that's the value prop is you make the campaigns in Street Text, you hit a button and it launches into Facebook. And it's literally like, it's depending on the type of campaign, it's like 3 clicks. And you're not doing all the wonky, and waiting for Facebook to whatever. It's
I thought they were running beautiful. Your ads for you. I thought they had a
no
running the ads. Okay.
Yeah. No. It's a platform that just makes it way easier.
But it's real estate.
And so
real estate tailored to
real estate specific, 100%. And they've got templates. So like you don't even have, you can create your own, that you can make a custom whatever, but they've got templates. And this is pretty cool. They have they have data from all of the users. So you can look and see which ones are, which templates, what type of campaigns are performing the best. And I use them for in three different ways. I use them for, I'll just, again, you told me nothing, everything's fair game here.
It's
I
fine.
use them for property boost type of campaigns. So for a specific listing.
Yep.
For buyer lead, I'll call them buyer lead on demand. So, get a free weekly list of homes with land in Cumberland County. And then they've got some great seller campaigns.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
No, we're just gonna have to partner with them or bring them in. I love hearing about this stuff. And really, Josh.
Well, so Ryan, remind me, I should connect you with Marcus there, because
Yeah.
he's been looking for that opportunity, and it's dumb of me to have not made that connection sooner.
Please do that. There's only so much we can build as a team here. So if something like that is that good, and I hear somebody like you gushing about it, we definitely want to.
Yeah.
So
It's phenomenal. It really is. And they're great. Like their support, because I can't say that about every company. Like, we've all had the experience where, trying to get support is like,
I have no idea what you're
pulling
talking
teeth.
about. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
There was something else in there. There was something else.
So
Go ahead.
So PropStream's a data source. You're getting absentees,
Yep.
and then you're as people engage with your stuff, they land in KV Core. You nurture them.
Yep.
Okay.
Totally. And I do use my smart number as a number for them to call or text back. So my thanks.io and my ringless voicemail that I don't use KV Core for, because again, it's cold outreach. But when they respond, when they call, text, or email, it's through my smart number. So then they're logged in KV Core. So I can see everybody that calls or texts back. They're logged in there. And the postcard also has a QR code that if they scan, that'll get them in there too.
Yeah, and that QR, Josh, just so you know, it might be launched, it might be soon, but you'll soon be able to trigger a hook that updates. It'll talk to third-party systems. Right now, you just get.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's sweet.
You can probably update the contact in KV Core, for example. Rob, I know you've been using Thanks heavily. Josh is mostly. I've seen some of your campaigns, Josh. You're doing cold absentee outreach, right? With Thanks.
Cold absentee outreach.
Yeah.
You saw in some of those campaigns, depending on the seller source, I send them a note card, like a thank you note card, or a similar type message as what I would use with an absentee owner.
Yeah.
And then I've got some with street text where, with my organization, we have a partnership with a company where we can do a cash offer that also allows somebody to stay for up to 12 months, a lease back type of offer. So I'll use, like one of the offers that I make to sellers is, if we could bring you a strong cash offer at full market value, that would also allow you to move when you choose anytime in the next 12 months. Is that something you'd be interested in? So things of that nature. And I don't know if this is appropriate or not, Ryan, but I'd be happy to put together like a Google Doc with some of the resources that I mentioned here.
It's fine. Just get it to me, and I'll include it with the replay.
Yeah, right on.
So that'll be in the description. But definitely, guys, you can find Josh if you haven't not already connected with him. Josh, just thanks for sharing the the goods here. There's a lot of
anytime, man. I'd be happy to do these. I don't know, quarterly or whatever, because it also clarifies my thinking and reminds me of stuff that I either was working and erroneously abandoned or whatever. It's always good to dive in like this.
The last point I want to make is, I think it's really interesting because you have a team, you have an assistant, my brother-in-law, right? So
yep. Yep.
And I couldn't imagine being a solo guy and being able to do all this. So there has to be a lot to that. Just people leverage.
Yeah. Well, so if you want to grow and scale, you have to either leverage technology or people or both. And I will say this will probably open a can of worms, but we can maybe dive into this.
Yeah, another session.
Next time. The very first person I quote unquote hired was a showing assistant. when I started for my personal production. Mike, who I don't even, to call him an assistant is not fair to him. He is a rock star. So he is my partner. He's my implementation partner is really what he is. But before that, I hired a showing assistant and I paid her per showing. And that was the first place that I looked to scale. Now that and technology, right? So like, you know, some of the marketplace add-ons and using certain platforms like Street Text and PropStream that save you time and help you create more leverage. You know, that's constantly what I'm looking at, right? Delegate, automate, or eliminate, right? Delegate, automate, eliminate. Delegate, automate, eliminate. Like that should be constantly running through your brain in everything that you're doing, right? Is this something I could or should delegate? Is this something that I could or should automate? Or is this something I got to get rid of entirely? Just figure out a way to eliminate.
I like that one. I'm gonna rewatch this because you're dropping some nuggets too fast for me. I gotta go write some
Right
stuff
on.
down.
Right on.
Man, thanks a lot. Guys, we'll get the replay live as soon as possible. Go find Josh on the socials. You're welcome, Mark. Yeah, Mark's been poking around, trolling me very, very nicely.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah.
Good old days.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, all right, guys. Thanks, Josh. Talk soon, man.
Thanks for the invite. My pleasure.